Boy, shit. Sex me happy. Good fucking evening, man. Good morning, good afternoon, good, I don't know, man, good dusk, good supper time. Whenever you listen to this, man, happy to have you. Happy you're here. That was some good old Lion Bay, man. I wasn't even expecting, you know, she didn't call me, she didn't hit me up, say, hey, man, I got a project dropping, but I'm glad she did it. I'm very happy about this. I don't really give a shit what you guys have been listening to for the past, how long have I been listening to this just like on repeat? Maybe like the past like 6 hours, just repetitively. I think it came out like a couple days ago, but very pleased about it. It's so good. I think I also did kind of y'all shook, you shook, you know, you got a little, you know, you got a little jig, you work your shoulders, you know, shook a cheeka too. That's the thing for Monday, man. Mood Mondays. Did I make that up? Somebody made mood. Somebody made mood Mondays. I'm dying. But yeah, man, how you guys doing? I'm very happy about that. That whole, it's a very like colorful album cover up here too. Like shit's going good. Anywho, fucking dying. Anywho, DC's on the way. You know, life be lifing. If only person I think besides me that like understands just like where a car would just say, hey man, fuck it, man, I'm over it. I would say it's him, because I feel like I'd have to ask. I gotta wait till he gets here. I feel like my car has had like more I think I've had more fucked up car incidents maybe this year, but his are like huger. Because, I don't know, man, life. But, anyways, that actually may, fuck it. That could potentially be like, we had a topic today. We got some shit that we might, we talk about, trying to get a little, like, we know what we're doing in this motherfucker. But, nah, man, shit happens. But other than that, dude, I don't know. I haven't had to wing it in here in a while. This is kind of nice, man. It hasn't just been me and you guys, man. How y'all doing, man? We just in here talking to my motherfucking self. That's fucking cool. This is how I feel like I can just tap into the Keith energy. Because Keith really, like, does this shit. And I don't know if you guys watch, like, Top of the Morning. You fucking should. Because, not even just because, like, Keith's my dog. But, like, it's, like, really good content. And it speaks to shit that I enjoy. Like, self-betterment and improvement and, challenging, mindsets. The usual big tit energy around here. Y'all saw that. But yeah, like, I think sometimes, like, people, like, I had a homegirl, like, I ran into a couple days ago, and she was talking about, like, starting the podcast. I'm the wrong nigga to talk to, so I'm like, fucking do it. Whatever you want. You want to start to do it. Do it right now. But I do respect people who have, like, it's easier when you have somebody to, like, play off of, but, like, when you in here and just, like, I'm fucking going, and you go for, like, I don't know, in my mind, I've been in here for, like, 45 minutes. It's only been, like, four minutes. So to do this shit for, like, 30 minutes to an hour, you're a fucking, like, to me, you're an all-star, and they should give you the little skinny mic, like, God, what is bro's name from fucking, from Shallow Hal, man? I thought, I had a joke about this the other day, and I couldn't even fucking say it. Because I don't remember the dude's name. Tony Robbins. Damn, it came right to me, bro. I could have. You don't understand, like, how much that just made me feel bad. Because I had like a fire ass joke the other day, but it was built on, if you didn't hit with the Tony Robbins, the punchline matters. You can't be like, man, you get this great build up, and you end up going like, it's such and such and them who say the thing on the the big talking, and now it's wrapped. Is ruined. And I don't know about any of our fans out there of other races, but in the black community, man, you have to, that shit has to be flawless. Don't you fuck around and have like an amazing joke, or you got some shit that you really finna hit in it, but you stutter or you fuck up, it's a wrap. And then it's like on you for like stuttering and shit. You like, that's the only way out of like some nigga finna just completely ether your shit, is you get up there with and now it's a wrap. Now it's over. Now you done for. And you kind of can't come back from that, I don't think. Like, once you pull one of those, man, it's a fucking wrap. Oh. So, we're real time me doing, like, two things at once. And I've been behind the 8 ball as far as, like, fucking uploading certain things for the episodes. So, I don't know what it was, like, because technology's not my friend today. But fucking my Bluetooth just fucking started acting right. So, that was clear, genuine enjoyment. I think this might be a thing for people who are like trying to start in the podcast game. If you have nothing to say, just completely vomit your thoughts. That works for me. Like, people think I really have like some shit going on up here. I'm just literally vomiting whatever the fuck pops up first. Because like, you don't want to like get started on like the topic because I feel like this is some juicy shit that we can like expound upon, and you don't want to like get started on the shit beforehand. Like, I'm going to sprinkle it out there just so you guys know where we're headed. And it's just, you know, posted on the page today, and it was just thoughts and stuff. And obviously, you know, relationship talk pops up anywhere and everywhere. But there is other ideas of like, you know, the conversation being, you know, what is, you saw the title, what is the difference between, you know, a challenge and a burden? You know, do people understand those differences? And it's, some of the conversation, I think, like on the page or in general, immediately goes to somebody thinking like we're super talking about burdens. But some people, I feel like, misunderstand like something that is to challenge you, is to grow you. It's a burden. You throw it away early. You miss your fucking lesson, and not even paying attention to the fact that like now you gotta sit here and do the same shit over and over and over and over again. When you know, a little bit of discernment, little bit of fucking understanding, and all this shit connects. It just kind of depends on, like, you know, I think what you really want, understanding what you really want, why you really want it. Because, I mean, even in the scope of like talking about relationships, just to let's get some context to this. Oh, I feel like I don't use that word enough, even though that really is like a thing. Like, context, I feel like, is wasted. I think that's my issue with some shit on the internet, is like, it be like good shit or potentially good shit is like lost on people because we don't use the right context, or people like, you know, misconstrue or like put a context on something that's not there to like fuck off a good point. It's really, really whack out here. I feel like that's why, like, fucking whole other tangent, or we don't have like philosopher-ish people, you know, just like fucking sit there and think, man. Or maybe those dudes is assholes. We might have just over like, they nigga said one good black man. Nigga said one good fun thing. We was like, Socrates is the nigga, but really everybody else was dumb, and we just was like, oh well, we're fucking with that guy specifically. Where are we at on this motherfucker? Right? Is that it? DC's here. Once I get this fucking phone together, because then he'll like pop up on the screen for you people who are looking, people who are listening. You're just going to listen to our process because we're here. Where we at? Did we do it? Deleted. Oh, shit. What did I do? Testing.
Yeah, that might be a little
what the fuck did I push?
I don't know what you was pressing something.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay.
Well, that's why also, folks, pay attention to what you're doing, because nigga just completely pushed the button that had I really thought, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I did something.
Radio nigga. I knew he was there, and now he's fucking gone. Oh, yeah, I was just setting up the topic a little bit, but, yeah, no, I was kind of trying to let the people understand of, like, you know, context, because even when we talked about this topic here about, like, you know, challenge versus a burden, and why it always seems to jump to relationships. I've had that conversation about why our conversations jump to relationships often, and it's one, niggas is men, and men obviously I feel like are in a space now where even though it's a lot of niggas, I feel like shit in the bed, there is like this air of let's get our side of it, and not just to shit. It's not a shit on women thing. It's a think about it like this. It's like if all niggas get their shit together, niggas need to fucking get their shit on, and y'all don't. You think niggas is gonna go back and pick y'all? Like if niggas get they shit together, all the shits that everybody says is whatever is, you know, men are on the one now and are fucking superstars and are completely just whatever. And you didn't do any self work yourself, madam. You didn't do any growth. And so now I'm gonna sit here and pick you. Fuck no, I'm gonna go to this other country where I'm like, I didn't even know they was doing shit over here, like in Ghana. Like, no, man, you can stay in zone 4. I'm gonna go over here to give me my, you know, Ghanaian princess because I'm woke now. Like I'm aware of.
That might not even be better because a lot of them are following American trends as well.
Shit, so it's a fucking shit cycle.
It is everywhere. But I try to explain it like the narrative is that when it comes to relationships, men are the fuck-ups. We're the problem. We're the weakest link. So how do you make things stronger? You focus on the weakest link. So let's focus on us. But if we're going to focus on us to make us stronger, that means we have to dive into what the perspective is that we have to deal with or that we hear or that we have. So that'll help you understand. Since you say this is the weakest link, let's understand why it's the weakest. And then we dive into it and realize it's really not the weakest link.
Yeah, I think about that as far as even like perspectives or just getting to the depths of a thing. Obviously, the fucking big fans of that shit over here. But if you focus on relationships, right? If you say that you are about the betterment and growth of your people, if you're about the betterment and growth of even your fucking family or yourself or whatever, relationships are literally how we interact with anything. We've said that here before. Obviously, the romantic shit is like a big deal because if I'm supposed to build a community, build a legacy, whatever, you need a supporting, even if you're the fucking lead, whatever, sidestep that for a minute. You need other parts to work with this. If I'm the quarterback, I still need a motherfucker who can catch the ball. I could throw this bitch across county lines. If you can't catch the motherfucker, it doesn't really matter. If you can't block, it doesn't really matter. So understanding that our dynamics are still fucked up and how we're judging shit is still fucked up, that requires that you over there with whatever genitals you like or like to bump with, you have to still make sense, motherfuckers.
Why don't you know how to be a better quarterback? Because, ma'am, we're playing soccer. You're in the wrong sport. You have the wrong expectations, the wrong role, the wrong understanding. That's what I think a lot of us struggle with. We don't even understand what we're doing, let alone the rules that come attached to that.
Oh, that's true. I mean, the football analogy makes sense, but I think there is a whole bunch of like okay, even like to say the football and we're playing soccer analogy, or honestly, motherfuckers might be playing basketball for the fuck we know.
Badminton, it don't even matter.
It was the holistic fucking therapist woman posted some shit, and you know, she posted cool shit, and it was basically just the same usual run of the mill stuff of, you know, man, throw away some of these relationship dynamics that we got. Like they're just not. It's not even about. This shit is unhealthy. Did you realize where you got them from? Like, is it because it's good for you or is it because it's comfortable? Like, it's not good for you. It's what you want, and what you want is built in bullshit. Which is fine. A lot of our wants is built in bullshit. Yet the fucking just things I saw today. The fucking dude who one of the more popular like powerlifters of today, one of the strongmen or whatever, the Stolt brothers, he was talking about mental health and stuff like that and how it worked for him and helped him with the like losing his mom. His whole thing was you can have all the fucking coping skills in the world on paper. How are you working them through? Like, how are you actually using them? And then what are the results? Because if you're just saying, my coping skill is to blah, 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 that's not a coping skill, nigga. That's you just masking shit. You didn't undo anything. You didn't learn anything. You didn't change anything. This is going to erupt the next time this trigger pops up. You're not healed.
I mean, that kind of lets you know to transition into the difference between a obstacle or a challenge and a burden. Because you're sitting up looking at this thing in front of you, this mental health thing in front of me. This is a challenge. This is something I have to get through. This is something that I can progress from. This is something that can help make me stronger. But I have this burden of not doing what the fuck I'm supposed to do. Like, I'm not using my actual coping skills. I'm not utilizing the things that I'm taught. I'm not utilizing the things that I'm learning. I'm not actually trying to learn shit. I'm just like, I'm doing this. Like, but how is that making you better? I'm just doing it. I'm eating my feelings. I'm fucking away my feelings. I'm drinking my feelings. I'm smoking my feelings. And yeah, that doesn't help. None of that helps. You're doing something, but how does that actually make you better? You're adding more burdens to your plate because you're not paying attention to what's actually going to challenge you to become a better individual.
Bars. So, we do this a lot. I just realized, we give out questions a lot, but y'all don't be answering. I have a theory, I think, on what that is, but I just, I don't know, man. Y'all just be kind of seeing, because my thing is our numbers are going up like a motherfucker in the stories, and it's like, so y'all see it. And we get some of the thumbs up, but if I'm like, no, say something. Why ain't you say nothing? Why ain't you say nothing? But you know who's got balls made of fucking goddamn cast iron, vibranium, and a little bit of that Uru metal that Thor's hammer is fucking Kenny with the big nuts. A burden doesn't benefit you or appreciate the time and effort you expel. And you let her know, tell that motherfucker that it felt a little, but
use a burden, bitch.
Yeah, and I think that there should be a space where everybody, not just the men thing, where you can discuss, man, this shit, I know it sounds normal, but it's burdensome. This shit is not okay. This shit is not like, I think you just need to do this, that, and third for a relationship. Have you ever thought about adjusting what it is that you feel like makes this relationship shit work? This is how somebody shows ABC affection. That's not true. Like, that's a version, but that doesn't have to be the version.
Right.
You are making you're making that the thing because it's what you want. You are making, this is what I need. Nah, nigga, that's what you want. Because what you said you need is to be supported and loved and blah, blah, blah. Okay, bitch, if the dollar collapsed tomorrow, we can still handle these things. And I know that's an extreme example, but I feel like if you enter into something from that space, it kind of works better. That doesn't mean I'm saying niggas just show up and be like, I got 2 nickels, baby, and you need to love me. It's like, nah, man, money is necessary, but understand when this shit is getting a little lopsided, my lady, like, in every way, not even just monetarily. Like, what the fuck did you really do to appreciate this motherfucker? Are you doing these appreciation things so you can take pictures of it? Are you doing these appreciation things so that you can say, I did this for you on this day. I got him this for Christmas, for Father's Day, for his birthday. But, like, during this whole time that y'all been interacting, he didn't take you out 47 places. And, like, what was your reciprocal response to that? Not even just to do it in a transactional space. Like, what are you really doing? Like, write it down on paper. Like, on paper, what the fuck does this person do? What do you do? Would you fucking date you? Would you fuck with you if you was doing this and you was doing what you was doing? If so, okay, maybe cool. Or not. I don't know what the fuck y'all doing. I'm just saying.
I feel like that would be biased because I feel like a lot of people aren't going to understand how to really dive into that. So they're going to put their selfish understanding of themselves on paper and say, yeah, I would date me. I'm dope as fuck. I do this, and this from a surface level, would not really understand what it is that they do and that they're not doing it as good as they think they do. Like fucking sticking with football, fucking Uncle Rico. I can throw the ball from here over a mountain. Like, on paper, in my mind, I can do this a great amount. I do this spectacularly. And it's like, nah.
You hit that motherfucker on the out and in. No, I don't give a fuck how far you can throw it. Like, that nigga said he turned right in. Can you?
What is your accuracy?
Hit him between the numbers, nigga.
What is your work ethic? Like, a lot of y'all put more effort into finding the angles in y'all pictures than y'all do actually understanding with somebody. But I'll say this for you, because me big dumb man, me no understand nothing.
Yes.
You big dumb bald man, you no understand nothing either.
Nothing between here but space and air.
What are some of the top things that we dumb men don't understand or encounter quite often when it comes to burdens and challenges in relationships? What do us stupid man encounter so much that we just too dumb to understand? And how do us feel about it?
What do we encounter that we're too dumb to understand?
No, I'm being facetious. We're not.
What you say?
We're not too stupid. But from the male's perspective,
I think.
What are some things that we encounter on a regular basis that can be more burdensome than challenging?
I think simply put, like, I know niggas harp about money, niggas harp about a lot of these things. We're speaking in the realm of relationship, but dead ass, like, just the annoying, or like you're just not cool to hang around, and not being able to like verbalize that without that turning into an issue. It's like, no, man, like, I'm aware that if I'm this type of motherfucker, like, granted, I'm not saying there's not assholes out there, but I feel like in the conversation, there's more niggas that, we've said this before, that are willing to adjust themselves to the other side. And it's like, hey, man, I feel like this and this is burdensome. Well, that's just how what the fuck? What is this? That's just how I am. Like, what? Like, and I think niggas are geared towards, like, like there was a video that popped up. I want to say, can you show it to me? Most extreme example, but it's a woman just like fucking losing her shit. Now, the punching and the fucking hitting in the head, obviously that's the first thing somebody can go, I would never do that shit. And it's like, no, man, but like, we can boil this down to you and his version, where he's calm and collected, or he's really like, this is not an issue, and you're going to make a scene, or you're gonna say some wild shit, or you're gonna, no, it's not a touch, but it's that, that shit we've talked about before, like this catty, this lack of understanding for what I am as a creature. Like, I get it. Every nigga said, like, they're emotional, they're whatever, whether it's wildly left or misogynistic or whatever. There is a realm where I'm trying to understand this creature on this creature's level. For us, I don't know that we get that, and we just kind of go, that's cool. No, it's not, nigga. Like, it's cool. It's okay for you to go, I'm not heard here. This is not a okay space.
So the burden for us, based on what you're saying, let me translate this properly. Maybe I got it right. Maybe I got it wrong. You can tell me. But it sounds like the burden is having expectations placed on us without having accountability of change being thrown into the mix as well on the other person's part. Like, yeah, you're putting this expectation on me, but you're also putting on top of me your lack of willingness to change.
It's a lot of, but the thing about it is, if I know, I'm sure you get it, mad niggas, we get it, but like, of just over analyzing a thing, and it's like, yeah, but that is accompanied by the mindset of our money, your money is our money, my money is my money. That to me sounds just like it is incumbent upon you to change for the betterment of this whole relationship. And I'm going to be me. And you love me because
I'm awesome.
But if you had those conversations, that's where I feel like a conversation like that, you might hurt a motherfucking feelings. If it was like, no, we can have that. I'm with you. Why? Because I'm that bitch. What does that mean? Explain to me what makes you that bitch. And then you get into, that's how you turn into a conversation like, oh boy, that was on that show. And it's like, I do all this here financially, and you show up and tell me the same regular line, I make a house a home. How? What is that? What does that mean? How do you make this house a home? A house becomes a home with people and love and all that. I give love. The little crumb snatchers we create in this motherfucker, they give love. So it's not just you. Like, you're a part of this, but are you really doing your part?
That was a terrible example, because she's like, I make this house. I like all the furnishings in here. I chose all the furnishings. I decorated this house. Like, yes, but if I'm paying for everything, I paid for the house and the furnishings that you chose. I gave you the ability to choose it. So really, I made this house a home. I just gave you some say-so in it.
That's another thing that becomes like, just adds to the burden, because really all of this to me just boils down to mindset. Like, you could ease up on half of these burden things if you just pulled your head out your ass and out of the 1950s, which didn't benefit us. That was like that fucking post we talked about a couple of days ago, where it was like, stuck in the 1950s nuclear family. All of you niggas are like that. It's a whole bunch of weird demographics that enjoy that shit like it was the bee's knees. And that shit was never lit. That shit was like, even for the don't get away, like, it was manipulative at best on the men's part. Like, hey, woman, you don't need power. I'm going to have, control the dollar. When I get to this house, you got to go ahead and just bite the bullet, because if you don't, bitch, you're going to be in the street and God's going to kick you out of heaven. And
pretty much.
And then we just took that on like that was fucking cool. Like, nobody ever said, This is not for us. This is not how this shit's supposed to work. There's supposed to be some equal understanding and distribution of power, which benefits you, because now I get to fucking love and enjoy you as a fucking human being. I have to respect you, at least, even if it's just coming from a fucking bullshit financial space. I have to respect you now. We're equal. This shit now has to get deeper than pockets. What's wrong with y'all?
With that mindset came be seen and not heard, and that's what you want to go back to.
And that's
literally the opposite of what you're trying to do. The complete opposite. But I'll say, like for me, a big burden that I think a lot of men come across and provide, or not provide, contribute to as well, just as much as we experience
that's another good bar. We are the fucking architects of our own fucking demise.
We contribute to it just as much as we experience it. But I'll say a big one, communication. How we communicate with one another, how we communicate to ourselves can often be a huge burden. Because sometimes the way that we talk to ourselves keeps us from being able to interact with this other individual on an authentic level.
True.
And this other person in front of me is not creating or not contributing to this being a safe enough space for me to contribute the way that I need to authentically. So we both shit in the bed communication-wise, and that leads to a laundry list of problems all over the place. But sticking with the accountability mode, what's something for you that I put this burden on myself, or I personally struggle with this burden, and I know that there's something that I can do better to do away with it?
I notice, at least, especially like as this whole little mental health professional journey has been going on, like not, and I think like actually like being a man kind of like ties into this, because we're supposed to be the ones who hold it down for a motherfucker. Like my thing is be like, hey, this is not really my issue. Like I could like, I could take a step back from this, or I can, all right, like I hear you, but I don't have the space to listen to that right now. Like you're draining me. Or it's not wrong for me to be like, oh, hey, you can't just like, taking space is not abandoning ship. Like, I'll be back, but like, I don't have to do this for this right now. I could, oh, hey, that's not my problem. No, I love you, but like, that's just not, I don't,
That's interesting that you say that. And here's why. So shout out to the quarterback in the chat. Can I just say from my experience, men are really bad with communication or even their delivery. So with what you said, I understand what you're saying, but I also internalize that's beyond my control, and there's nothing that I can do about that.
Mm-hmm.
Based on what the quarterback is saying, that could also be you're really upset with the fact that their delivery isn't what you expected it to be, and they're realizing I can't control how you interpret my delivery.
Yeah, I want to ask the quarterback a question, actually, like if you're, down for this.
You should be. You in the chat, which means you participating. You here now, so just saddle up, baby.
What is considered really bad and what is considered good communication? Because I would just assume, because like I would just say for people, not even like men or women, there are people who I know that are not the best, like, let's talk it out right now. That's not necessarily good communication. That could also be I'm bullying you into having a conversation right now. I'm overwhelmed as fuck. Communication, just from experience, is you're having a moment, anxiety, you're losing your shit, whatever. Me sitting with you, I'm communicating that I care, I give a fuck. And I care enough to interact with you in a way that you can comprehend and deal with. I can't deal with words. I can't have nobody talk to me right now. Cool.
Communication is vulnerability and reciprocity. So are you really communicating? Or like you said, I wouldn't even say bullying you into communicating. Are you bullying me for a response? Not to communicate. You just want to hear what you expect to hear or hear something. But that doesn't mean that you're actually trying to communicate with me on a deeper level. You're trying to be vulnerable with me and hear my vulnerability and empathize with it.
Yeah, like empathy and listening, I feel like also are like forgot about parts. Everybody talks about communication and just jumps to the, I say a lot of words, you say a lot of words. Did you sit down and shut the fuck up for a minute when the person said those words? Really bad to me is not communicating at all. As if I'm just supposed to guess what's happening. I wouldn't say guess what's happening. I don't know. I'm being presumptuous now. I don't know your particular situation. You could be 100% valid. But if maybe not guessing, but allowing the person to process in their own way, as opposed to being like, we need to talk about this right. And it's like, well, I might not have, some people don't have the verbiage just in general. Some people are like, I'm overwhelmed. So it's like, I'm going to create a safe space, and it's solely to understand. If communication is like, turns into like some of these back forth debates, some people don't have the shit for that, especially if I'm in a vulnerable space and I'm like, I had a vulnerable moment. This is difficult for me. And now we're having a debate about it. You're now coming at me as a person. You're coming at my core. This is not about opinion. So it's something to think about. Now, if somebody is just like, you know, I'm shutting down because I don't like what I hear, well, that's different. And that's a fucking asshole.
Yeah, like you said, there's a lot of context that we don't have. If you want to provide extra context, by all means, we'll deep dive into this all day long with you. But I'll kind of piggyback off what you're saying, like the not communicating at all. I'll ask this question. Did you create a safe enough space for them to want to actually communicate with you? Or are you just expecting a response? Like, how safe do they really feel to be vulnerable with you? Maybe they don't want to communicate with you in certain regards or about certain things at certain depths because they don't feel safe enough to do it with you. Communicating
with an open mind and not being quick to react, but sitting and processing before you react. That's good. I think that's like, and that definitely sounds good on paper. And I think and I know this kind of, this is another thing that I like think is a burden. I don't think about it as like, or burdensome for me, I put on myself, is overthinking for the other party.
Yeah.
Because it's like, even that last part about processing before you react. On paper, I think that sounds good. And I think that in general, like what that's supposed to mean is good, as so long as somebody's not processing it and looking to solely respond. I'm processing this so I can look for a hole in the argument, as opposed to taking your fucking shoes off. Even if you put their shoes half on, you don't even got to lace them up. Put their shoes on and listen to what they said from the perspective that they said it. As much as you know. Like, if you know this person comes from ABC background, this person is, you know, just not me. What they said, how they said it, the way they're saying it, it's like, okay, let me listen to that from them. And for me, sometimes, especially like just in general practice, as far as like my personal life, but definitely my career, it's like, I understand. There really is no more for me, because now I'm interrogating you, and that's a whole different thing. Like, you said it, so you mean this. Yeah, that's what and now I'm like, okay, but there's an empathy in that. And I think there's also, that's something people don't pay attention to, is like, a motherfucker can smell where there's like feigned empathy and like you really give a fuck about how I feel.
Right.
Not how you're perceived, not like you just genuinely, how do you feel? How have I made you feel? My fucking bad. Not like, I didn't say that and you need to understand. Well, no, because now this isn't about me anymore. This is about my perception of you. We're now fighting for your version of you to be the main person of the story. I don't want to hear that shit.
Processing before you react. The before you react part is important. Now, the reaction, and here's where I'll challenge you, quarterback, because we ain't talking to the other person that you was dealing with. So just talking to you. But the reaction, right? The assumptions, the presumptions, the jumping to conclusions, all those things, those can be reactions. But you also can formulate those things in your head and internalize them without putting them on the other person consciously. So you both can be doing the same thing to one another. You can be reacting to a certain thing in your mind, and that makes you have a certain disposition towards them in the communicative process. And they can be doing the same thing, jumping to conclusions or having a certain disposition towards you externally. And you guys are triggering each other. I was talking about general communication. There's nothing general about communication, but okay. When we dive into it, conversation. Okay.
We'll dive into a conversation. It's all blame, never listening and reflecting on how you made me feel. I mean,
are you doing the same thing that they're doing?
Yeah, man, I don't know. Are you Jamarcus Russell out here as the quarterback? I'm not trying to, it's not to shit on you particularly, but it's like, you know, I guess determining how you pick partners. And if you are this amazing communicating, listening person, then it kind of would be incumbent upon you to be like, okay, why the fuck I keep running across motherfuckers who just, you know, you did it, bitch. And it's like, nigga, I just asked you, like, did you want some tomatoes on this motherfucker? Like, what you mean?
Yo, man, your reality is a manifestation of who you are. So if you keep coming across a lot of people that can't communicate, maybe there's something within you that doesn't know how to communicate either. that accountability. You may want them to take on your version of accountability, and you may think that they're blaming something, but within that, you could also be nullifying or ignoring their perspective as well.
Yeah. Like, accountability doesn't mean like you're 100% in the wrong. It's just like if you're in this conversation, situation, whatever the fuck, and this motherfucker is 60% wrong, and you realize that like 40 of it was you. Even if I know this person is a hothead, or I'm with this individual and I understand their traumas. Now, there's a realm of enabling and catering to a motherfucker, which is what you don't do. Right. But if you're like, I know this person is triggered by, I don't know, fucking loud noises or whatever, and in the midst of this argument, I fucking yelled. Well, now, shit, you've completely left whatever you did, like, nope, you did that. I don't like a nigga raising his hand because a nigga used to bust my motherfucking eye. I've messed up in that moment. If I get irritated and do like this, well, then I have to just pause this conversation. Actually, like, yeah, you can go take a break and I'll take a break because I know that whatever I just did completely dead it, whatever conversation we finna have. You're in defense mode. Like, so even if you're trying to communicate, but if it's in some defensive shit, that's why I feel like that, like, initial conversation shit sometimes is not good. It's like, no, take space and like just diffuse some of that aggression and all this other shit. Like, because now you have to come back from a space of like, I don't want to resolve this. Because when you reacting, you want to win. I don't give a fuck how good you mean. Like, you want to get your point off, and that's not the same thing.
Right. But I'll say even with that, I'm glad you kind of pointed that out. When it comes to communication, something that we don't pay attention to is like, did we talk about each other's triggers and what they stem from? Maybe I didn't even ask you what your triggers were, so I don't know that you're triggered by loud noises, and I don't know how to read the fucking room, so I can't pick up on you getting into a certain perspective or certain demeanor when I raise my voice. I just keep doing the shit thinking that it's going to create some sort of change, and it does not. So that's definitely a conversation to have in general. What are your triggers? What's the reason for those triggers? Okay, these are my triggers, and these are the reasons for my triggers. So how can we keep from triggering one another?
And then you still got to, like, work to fucking just undo those triggers, because you can't just, like, oh, these are my triggers and I have them. It's like, no, now you have to do the work to fucking put them bitches to bed. Like,
yeah.
I'm talking about quarterback said, I'm talking about the same person. I've been with her for over 10 years. So in 10 years, have you guys not have had any, like, conversations about, you know, triggers, or I've been with him, him for this same, for over 10 years, been with this person for 10 years. Okay. And like in that 10-year span, like, have you guys grown? You guys having the same issues back to back to back? Like that?
It sounds like the same cycle over the last 10 years, which I'm taking this approach, quarterback, just to let you know, because this is how I approach therapy. The other person isn't here to defend themselves, so I don't know their perspective. I don't have all the context. All I can do is sit here and help you focus on what your contribution to the situation is. So if you've been with somebody for over 10 years and the communication dynamic has been exactly the same. If it's been exactly the same in 10 years, that means you've been exactly the same in 10 years as well.
Yeah.
There's something that you haven't contributed to the change. Now, that's not to say that you haven't put forth effort, but there's something that you haven't done to change the cycle. Because sometimes changing that cycle when it comes to burden and challenge, sometimes you're approaching this as a challenge and it's really a burden, and you should release yourself of that burden.
Yeah, and I don't even say sometimes breaking the cycle as far as like, fuck this shit, I'm over it. But if you were to say, let's keep the focus on you, the focus on, okay, I'm going to, and I've done this from like experience, you can fuck with somebody and love them all you want, but if you're dedicated to, you know, what's that shit, like oil and whatever don't mix?
Oil
and water. So if I'm water and I'm just completely dedicated to purifying my shit, this motherfucker is going to be forced to either get it together or they're going to remove themselves. We talk about like on the whole energy side of life and shit. The shit just can't exist in the same space. Like that shit's, they're going to have a fucking negative reaction. And if I'm dedicated to being like just the best version, not on some holistic whatever shit just to be a mythical asshole, but like we just, it's not, oh man, that ain't that deep. Like, no, fuck that. Can you believe these motherfuckers did? Yeah, but you know, like it's not even, man, fuck that. Why you ain't never like, it'll just literally be like, why are you damn near so positive? Like it'll start to fuck with them, and it's like, okay, now this is a turning point. Now this is a turning point that shows kind of the trajectory of if I chose to deal with you, it's like I got to deal with you if you're able to go, there is something off in me being hella fucking negative all the time and hella ready to have issues in the same cycle. I see you changing. Now, if I choose to fuck with your change or try to fuck with your change, that's incumbent on you to go, I got to slide from this motherfucker, or at least separate and give them a chance to, you know, life does what life gonna do. But I become more patient and just not fall into the argument. That's a good start. But if that other person is not fucking like, you know, meeting you there, then at some point you got to realize, you know, make sure you're not sitting there being stagnant.
Here's why I play devil's advocate.
Ooh.
I've become more patient and just not fall into the argument. So you're willingly stepping into it? Because you're still getting into the argument, apparently. That's what you're telling us.
Or avoiding a problem.
No, the cycle is continuing, which means they're still having the same kind of communication. So your approach to it is more conscious, but you're still getting into the same behaviors.
That's a good point.
I'm aware of what I'm getting into, but I'm not changing my complete approach to it, or I'm not doing anything to completely change how we do this thing. I'm just being more patient as I ease into this normal cycle that we keep going around about in. I'm just not going to jump. You know, normally I just jump in the double dutch. This time I'm just...
Yeah, said I get a mouthpiece now. You know what I'm saying? You're just going to whoop my ass, bro. Like, you know, first of all, let me get my helmet on, and then now I swing away, motherfucker. But,
right.
You know, the point is to not get my ass whooped.
That's the point. You going in there like, I'm more patient, but you still Carter Tooth Williams. You still getting your ass whooped.
Okay, it hasn't changed. So you've been there. You've been there 10 years straight. What have you observed? That, you know, like if you observed it hasn't changed. If you was just gonna talk to yourself, I feel like niggas know what'll change it. So what do you think would change it? We don't know you, quarterback. Like,
what can you do to change it? I'll say that. What do you think would be better to change it? I know you stated the it's all blame, but there's more there. But from your perspective, outside of it not being a blame game, what do you think would need to be changed in order to get rid of this cycle and improve communication? Because it hasn't changed in 10 years. You better than me. I ain't trying to wear the same drawers for 3 days.
Yeah, 10 years is a long time to be just... Yeah, I mean, that's another... I don't have, like, the endure my partner thing. Like, we can endure hard times, but if I'm, like, literally like, fuck, I can't go to work every goddamn day, and then I got to come home. And, like, I think we fuck up that phrase, what that means. Like, you know, you got to work on your relationship. It's like, but this is not supposed to be another job. I'm not supposed to suffer this person.
But not only that, like, that's the burden and the challenge. If I'm coming to put in the work for this relationship, what type of work am I putting in? Am I putting in work that's going to challenge-based, end up growing this situation over time? I just have to be patient with those efforts, and I have to keep putting forth this type of energy, or am I approaching it burdensomely, whereas I'm just here? I'm saying that I'm putting in work, but really I'm just showing up. I'm clocking in, but I ain't really at my desk. Like,
yeah, this, and when I say growth and upward mobility, I don't mean not opposed to the whole ring thing, but that's not what I mean by this. It's like, you get the job, it's at the point where we are just living as roommates. That's time. I mean, I'm not saying just like fuck it all, but that you kind of answering your own question. That's damn near. I'm over. Then what are you there for?
Not only that, but why are you complaining about their approach when you're clearly not trying to put forth effort or energy? You think your partner can't sense that? You think they haven't been able to tell that? And I'm pretty sure that odor that you've been giving off of this stank has been there for a while. It's not something that's developed in this conversation with us. Your partner's been feeling that. I'd say probably, let's say, 3 years. But they know that that's what your demeanor is for the last 3 years or more.
Because this conversation, like, niggas don't feel energy like I promise you we do.
Y'all swear
like,
up and down.
I'm not gonna hold you up like a lot. Like, fuck it, man. I'm challenging y'all. I don't give a shit what nobody say. Like, I can smell this shit. Like, it's off in here.
Men can tell. We're human beings just like you. We have that intuition that y'all claim that y'all have that we don't. Trust me, we have it too. We just may not feel comfortable enough to address it the way that you may address it or approach it the way you may approach it. But that goes back to your partner smelling that stank for the last 3 or more years, and then you like, you ain't never changing. Well,
Who let the stank out?
Right, you ain't either. I can tell that you ain't trying to really put forth no effort or energy into this. You're just approaching me with an expectation. You're approaching me as a burden. You're not approaching me as a healthy challenge.
Yeah, like I guess I would wonder, like, what is your end goal? Because you're just here to exist, and that for a partner, like a challenge is, and I've just experienced healthy challenges where it's like, okay, even if this person didn't know it, okay, this person is a mirror of like what my traumas are, what my triggers are. Okay, I'm learning about myself through this. Cool. But That's a fine line between, okay, I got this, and this motherfucker just is whooping my ass with miserable. And then as opposed to somebody who literally comes into your life and you're like, I never thought about that way. I thought this was the corniest shit. And now listening to you, I realize that's really some in-depth. If that's not happening, then what is the relationship like? Though that's the real like currency of a relationship. You can have the best job, the best shit, the best whatever in the world, and when y'all come home sitting in the motherfucking room together, it's just like, so let me tell you about Shirley's big toe, and I'm gonna tell you about Tom, how he dropped his goddamn lunchbox at the meal, and then that's it. Even though that's the fucking shit your fucking grandparents, told you was the relationship shit, and that's
most definitely. It all
terrible.
circles back. It all circles back to what we said at the beginning of the show. But even better, you see how the universe provides? Because basically what you're saying, I'm over putting any efforts or energy into this situation or it changing. It's the same thing that TJ said at the beginning of the show is one of his burdens that he experiences as a man, approaching the situation with an expectation but no accountability to make changes. You essentially just proved what he said right.
10 years
as far as what we experience, and I've experienced it too.
I know 10 years is like, you kind of are just going to be there because you're comfortable. Because where the fuck else I'm going to go? You go. It's always work at the post office. And I'm not promoting you motherfuckers leave, but I'm promoting that if you want to stay in this thing, you would have to kind of, this is, I'm not going to tell these is my brand of therapy. You're going to have to kind of, put foot to ass, goddammit. Like, what is your issue? Because you're contributing.
Asses.
Yeah, because it's not, because you like, I'm done putting forth efforts and energy. And like I said earlier, like with this whole put your foot in the other person's shoes, that nigga feels that. That nigga feels that. And who knows his perspective. Like, this person, I really whatever for, I can feel her not give a shit about me. So then fuck it.
I can feel her not trying and not putting forth effort to make this better. And I don't want to do that either. I'm just going to exist because she's existing. Because from a male's perspective, if you're just trying to exist and just like we don't really want to call it quits, I'm not going to force calling it quits. Because if I do, bitch, I lose half.
Now, here's some experience as well.
10 years, I lose half. No, I don't want. If we're not going to change this, I don't want to leave it either. Because I have more to lose, at least in my mind.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not telling nobody to settle for no, bullshit efforts or the bare minimum, but have you explored what you consider efforts or energy? Because somebody might have been like, I done X amount of hours at work or whatever, and I remembered that, I had a lot going on, whatever the fuck this motherfucker do, and I remembered that you wanted chocolate, whatever the fuck. Bring the chocolate, get to the house, and you see that shit, and it's like, I don't like almonds or whatever, and it's like, you have no idea how destructive of a statement that is to completely sidestep and go, and at least explain, I don't like almonds, I have a really fucking nut allergy. But I appreciate you doing this. This was like you had you didn't think outside of I didn't get the chocolate I wanted. And now motherfucker like, okay, fuck it, bro. Like because to that motherfucker, I'm adding in that I did all this all day. This is my last bit of the rant. Or motherfuckers don't pay attention to, and I know it sounds like fucking just, want accolades for, doing whatever, but I did a lot of shit this week. That shit you wanted was fixed. That whatever you wanted was picked up. That this shit was on. You got fed today. You didn't cook shit the whole week or whatever. Just throwing that stupid scenario out there. But I made sure that we went out, even if it was McDonald's, all week with the money that I fucking go to work for. I spent $200 this week on food. Those were my efforts. And you kind of was like, Now you go, I appreciate those efforts, and don't just say it for bullshit. Really appreciate them. Then we can kind of move over, because most niggas like, okay, what are you on? Like, I'm a pretty giving motherfucker. That's what I'm trained to do. And you go, oh, I would like it if you whatever. All right, cool. Thanks. Also, rub my fucking back. You want your fucking booty rubbed just off the whim, but you don't rub nobody back off the whim. What's wrong with y'all?
Sticking with efforts.
Assuming. I don't know your life, man. You might be the victim. I'm just saying.
Who knows? We have no idea. But sticking with efforts. Seeing as how quarterback, like you're listening to Just a Dope Ass podcast with Chad Awesome and myself.
Thank you, by the way.
We appreciate that and your interaction. But also the premise of the show is typically like mental health, right? If I'm not mistaken, like that's the premise of what we kind of do because like both of us work in mental health, correct?
Bars.
So it would be, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, have you motherfuckers tried therapy? Have you gone to therapy? Because if we're talking about effort and you haven't tried therapy.
Tried every avenue. Did you? I even went to his mom.
That's not helpful.
Yeah, if you went to his mom to complain about her son, like that's cool, to kind of have, maybe if you were going to get an understanding of her son, maybe why he works like this to truly understand him. But if you went to his mom to complain to her about her son, it should even him like, why would you go to my mom and like shit on me? I live with you. You could have,
Not even that, but speaking as somebody who like, I love my mama. You love your mama. But does your mama fully understand every aspect of you?
No.
I'm going to this individual that I'm assuming should understand you, I think, better than me, not realizing that you're your own individual. That person only understands a certain component of you, just like I only understand a certain component of you. I have to go to you to understand every aspect of you. So going to his mom as somebody like you raised him, you should be able to chastise him and make him do the things that I would like him to do. So you tell him to do it. That's not helping.
And she don't know him as a partner. There
She
are depths.
doesn't-
Yeah,
yes.
there are depths your partner knows or should know that your parents will never know. I'm more vulnerable supposed to be with you than any other. Now there is as much responsibility as there is on that individual to be in the space to be vulnerable. The other side has to create a space of you can be whatever, you can say whatever the fuck you want, like, and I'm not gonna judge you for it. Oh, hey, you used to fucking punch whatever. No, never complain. More like to guide us, but that went left. I assume I can see why a couple.
I feel like you would approach mom from an authoritarian standpoint, like step in and be the authoritarian and change some shit for us. Be the matriarch of this situation and tell us how to do it right. But that's still not you two deciding how to do it.
Yeah,
you're going to a different generational mindset, a different type of attitude to tell you what you should do because you're not doing the work yourselves. Somebody give us an answer so we ain't got to figure one out.
No, you have to.
It's not going to work.
Because to work on this relationship, you'd have to work on. He went to therapy. Supposedly, came back and told me his therapist told him I was the problem. Why don't y'all go together for they have couples therapy?
There's multiple spaces for multiple people to sit. I mean, as somebody that does therapy, like you can go in there together, or even you can ask him to ask his therapist if it's okay for you to sit in on one session.
But I would say go. I'm really big on you, the individual, are the fucking architect of your own shit. So I feel like you should go to therapy to work on you. The more you work on you, it will affect your other relationships.
Right.
Whether it builds this one up or it puts you in a good space to go, I can now see the negative parts of this for what they are, whether they're big, small, and different, and I can actually do something about them as opposed to living in the cycle. Because living in the cycle, to continuously live in the cycle for 10 years, to me feels like you've exhausted all the tools you got. So you need to go find some more tools.
Here's what I'll say. Even the way that you typed it with the extra exclamation marks at the end means that somebody told you that you were the problem.
I was the problem!
And you reacted to it so negatively. That's not what you wanted to hear. But that doesn't mean that it's possibly not true. In his perspective, because the therapist is only getting one account of this. I'm getting the person's account that's sitting in front of me. So maybe based on what he's sharing, what he's being vulnerable about, assuming that he did or did not, I don't know, neither of us were there. But assuming based on his vulnerability and what he shared in therapy, like, that's the perspective. She the problem based on what I'm telling you. Like, yeah, that's really problematic for you. Yeah, that's a big trouble for you. That's a big problem for you. Okay, that's how he feels inside. He feels like you the problem in a lot of situations and you're not listening to him.
Perspective.
And even when I tell her that this is a problem that she contributes to or how she can be a problem, she gets upset because she thinks that she ain't the problem. She thinks that she is devoid of imperfection, which is oftentimes a really big problematic issue. 50% of that is true. Part of that is, yes, you are the problem. Just like 50% of your perspective is that he's the problem. So how can we figure out, like I said earlier, how can we figure out how not to trigger one another? Since I'm the problem, what is it that I do that you do not like? What is it that I do that is problematic for you? That's your perspective? Great. I'm going to share my perspective, and let's find a way to meet in the middle, as opposed to, I don't like the shit you be doing. How dare you say that I'm the problem for all? Nigga, it's you. You the one that... You're doing the same thing that you say he does, which is the blame game. We're shifting accountability because nobody wants to accept it. Once you accept, yes, I am part of the problem. I may be the entire problem, but just accept some of that accountability. I guarantee things will start getting better. Say that you are the problem, embrace it, and then start fixing your own shit first.
Bye. And then after that was good shit. Come back, quarterback. You can be a quarterback or a wide receiver or a fucking left guard, whatever the fuck. Just come back. Tell your mom and them. Tell your nigga to come through. Actually, y'all both can come through and sit down.
Yeah, y'all can come sit down and we'll hash this out with both you motherfuckers.
And that's that, man. See y'all next week.
Next week?
Or this week.
Saturday, nigga?
It sounds good, man. Sounds like some radio shit. They like, see y'all next week.
Sounds like next week on Dragon Ball Z.
Man, nigga, you know, people forget, man. We wanted to see fucking Nappa with the fucking blonde mustache.
We did.
That's me.
I did it. You welcome. I'll bill you.
Bye, because it's on the way. I'm sending it to every quarterback in the league. Nigga.
We billing you 5 follows and 16 shares. Goddamn it.
Yep, there we go. Get some fucking shares. We got over 1,000 posts. That's your homework, quarterback. Tell them where to find us and go listen to some shit. Bye.